Good morning, good afternoon, and welcome to another episode of Random Trek. I am your faithful captain, Christopher Ingle, joined as always by my trusty first officer, the man who is also on a quest to find the origins of mankind and all our fellow species, Commander Brennan, the mystical Mar. Brennan, this has been an interesting journey, hasn't
Indeed it has.
it? Yes,
Almost as interesting as looking for a library that keeps moving.
I like the library,
We'll
but
get to that third.
That's the episode after this one.
Yes, we'll get to that third.
Yes, today we are taking a look at season 5 of Star Trek Discovery, episode 7, Erigah. This is an interesting season because I really liked this. It wasn't perfect, but it was fun.
It
And a
was
great
fun, yeah.
and a great overall continuation from something that was began in the Next Generation. So this whole season is a continuation even of an episode of Next Generation. But this really gets into some fun stuff dealing with Breen culture, which again at that up to this point we've never seen.
Yeah, the
You know,
Marines sort of showed up on DS9 and that was about it.
mhm.
We didn't really
Yep,
get to know them.
yeah. We've never got to know the Breen. So this gives us a little bit. They've been a mystery, and this episode helps to solve that. So let's get into kind of the details of this episode. So, in the previous episode, our heroes, as well as Locke and Maul, found themselves on the ISS Enterprise. We'll have to review that another time to explain.
Long story.
Long story, but they were on the
Mhm.
ISS Enterprise from the Mirror Universe. And Locke got injured pretty severely aboard the Enterprise. Now, Culber they get him back to the Enterprise. Culber attempts to treat Locke, or Discovery. I said Enterprise.
Index Discovery,
Discovery.
yes.
Yeah, sorry. We're so used to Strange New Worlds. I'm going to flip it a couple times.
Hmm.
But the problem is, Culber, like every other Federation doctor, is unfamiliar with Breen physiology.
Hmm.
Now, Primarch Rune, who is the leader of a completely different Breen faction, he arrives at Federation headquarters and demands the return of Locke. And it is revealed that Locke is Rune's nephew, and therefore a direct descendant from the previous Breen Emperor.
Yeah, giving him a
Um,
claim to the throne.
right. Rune wants to use it to legitimize his claims.
Hmm.
Um, Now, Rayner reveals that he is a survivor of a Breen occupation that killed his entire family.
Yeah.
Uh, So Burnham uses this information to convince Rune that in taking Locke, it would create a bigger conflict within the Breen factions, making it more difficult for him to take the throne. Unfortunately, Locke has other ideas, and he ends up overdosing in what was a failed attempt to help Maul get out, because Locke and Maul are in love with each other.
Mm.
Um, the Breen medics show up and they try to help him at Burnham's request, but Locke dies in the process. And Rune declares war on the Federation. Now, I got to be clear: an Erigah is this is a new concept, but it is a blood bounty. It's a Breen blood bounty, and once an Erigah is called, it cannot be removed. Well, Locke in the past brought an Erigah on himself when his uncle he turned against his uncle to save Maul's life. So they've kind of been on the run trying to find this technology so they can remove this Erika.
Mm.
Um, but of course, Rune, knowing this, wants to be able to get it to get the throne himself. That's just kind of his primary motivation. Um,
But
so Maul and
now that Locke is dead,
yeah,
um,
which doesn't end anything. Surprising. I thought this would cause a problem. It really doesn't. They
yeah,
still need the body. They still need everything. Now,
because Maul pulls a
Maul
trump
reveals, yeah,
Maul pulls a
Maul
trump card, as they say.
Maul lets them know about the progenitor technology and
Yeah.
that it can be used to resurrect Locke, which she believes it does, but she has no evidence to prove that. She just believes it does. Rune ends up taking Maul with him, and it puts Discovery in a race to find this new technology.
Because according to
Uh,
Breen culture, because Null is married to Locke,
mhm.
they have
They
to
have to,
alter her protection.
right. So that
Even
leaves
though
Stamets.
they hate to do it.
Mhm. It leaves Stamets, Book, Tilly Adira, and Jet Reno, who love Jet Reno so
Mm,
much.
yeah, we love Reno. Yes.
They figure out that the next clue from the artifacts points to the Eternal Gallery and Archive that is currently in the Badlands.
Ooh.
Hence the library in the next episode, which is a
And
really good
we've
episode.
dealt with the Deadlands a few times in Star Trek.
We have Deep Space Nine, absolutely,
And Voyager. That's how they got there in the first place.
absolutely. So,
Mhm.
what did you think of this one? Giving us, first of all, a really good look at brain culture for the first time. What do you think?
Well, that was really interesting to get more of the brain. And now we know what they look like because of Locke. It's hard to judge this episode just because this is a very episodic show. Or, sorry, a story arc driven show. So that each episode is like another chapter of the book. So difficult to judge it on its own merits, but I think that I found myself quite engaged with this episode. No pun intended by that word. And I think that what we have here is, it's just it's a good episode. I like that we get a little bit more of Commander Raynor's backstory,
Hmm.
and I like that you really do see the chemistry and the connection that Maul and Locke have.
Right.
That was the one thing about this season I really enjoyed is you really feel that they have a connection.
Hmm.
Despite them not being the best people, you still feel a connection to them.
Well, they're in love, and that's an
Yeah.
interesting thing. They're in love with each other and not allowed to be with each other, and so their quest is to save each other, to protect each other. In a very narrow way, that's kind of selfless. They love each other.
And in many
And I
ways,
think
that's what Star Trek is all about.
that's true. And
It's
I,
what
I think
people are willing to do for each other.
they do a really good job of through this season, and I think in this episode, showing this relationship between Locke and Maul. I didn't buy it at first, but I
Yeah,
didn't really know them. As you get to know them, I'm like, okay, this makes more sense to me.
it does. Yeah.
She was a courier. He's royalty. I mean, it's Romeo and Juliet all
He's
over again.
human. He's a brain. The brain don't like the humans.
And in reality, is this not a weird Star Trek Romeo and Juliet story?
In a way, it is. Yeah.
It kind of is, yeah. And I don't begrudge her goal here, her task.
Hmm.
In fact, in the end, telling and giving away the secrets of the progenitors, so that way she can stay alive and potentially raise her fiance, her husband. That's important. It's crucial. And that's great character development in this.
Hmm.
She's willing to do anything to save him, to save herself, because she cannot imagine having a life. I mean, these guys, as far as protagonists go, this is really in depth.
Antagonist.
Our antagonist. Thank you.
Antagonist. Yes.
Sorry, it's been a long day. But antagonist. That's why I have you here to correct me.
Mm.
Nonetheless, as far as antagonists go in Star Trek, this is one of the better portrayed and better written sets of characters.
Yeah,
I mean,
agree.
I mean,
Agree.
you think back to regular villains or antagonists in Star Trek history. Lore came back 3 or 4 times, but we never got enough with him. The Borg kept coming back, but they're in the show, they're faceless villains. There's nothing else to them
Mm-hmm.
that we know.
Mm-hmm.
Even Harry Mudd comes back, twice and then three times due to the animated.
Yeah.
He's more of a joke than anything else. Getting on the show a villain that comes back that is well developed is such a rarity. And Maul and Locke really fit this, and this episode gave him that context to really make them a grade A villain.
Yeah. They're definitely good. I mean, as far as this show is concerned, they're definitely up there. I mean, Discovery, it's probably Empress Georgia that's the greatest antagonist on this series. But
Yeah,
these guys are good. These guys are
yeah,
good.
absolutely. And I
And
also love a better look at the Breen ships. I love the
oh
ships.
yes, I love the design of the brain
The
shifts.
designs, it's not symmetrical per se. It's like a little influence of the Borg, a little actually, you know what? It reminds me of some of the ships that I saw in uh what was the name of it? Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Yes. Yeah, a little bit.
Uh the the, I can never remember their name. The construction workers of the galaxy.
Still guns.
Yeah, it reminds me a little of that.
Yeah.
And I like that. See, this is why I have you here. You're so good
Yeah.
at this.
I like that. I also like any time we get with Reno is great.
Oh, you know
Because
what?
Chick
Jet
Notaro,
Reno,
we love her.
I had no idea that she was a stand-up comedian, and I stumbled on one of her specials. Oh
Yeah,
my goodness.
same thing. I did not know she was a comedian until after the show.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and I can't wait to see more of her in Starfleet Academy, which we'll
And
get the beginning of next year.
I love her, like, dry sense of humor.
Hmm. Loves licorice, always has licorice.
Yeah.
She's enjoyable here. Everybody in this cast is great, but the focus of this episode really is Locke and Maul, and they do it so well. They carry it well, and Rayner and his motivation. We also just had um, uh, um, the captain of the Titan and his issues with the Borg, and we're seeing these command officers having a lot more trauma
Yeah.
that they've been holding back.
Mm-hmm.
Really, I can't recommend this season enough. It isn't the best Star Trek season ever, but in terms of Discovery, they do a real good job of bringing it around.
Yeah,
And I could,
and Discovery has had a bit of a rocky quality level, I would say.
right.
And this is definitely one of the better seasons.
It is, and you can see the parts where they told them when they started this that this was going to be the final season, but you could tell the writers had some ideas.
Yeah.
You could see still remnants of things that possibly could have been as time goes along. They
Yeah.
tie it up fairly well.
And the use of the progenitors is a great decision.
Oh, I love that. And the reveal of it, and we'll get to that episode at some point, but the
Yeah,
reveal
it's
of
good
what they
stuff.
really are blows my mind. Like,
Mm-hmm.
wow, the rabbit hole goes deeper.
Yeah.
And that is one of the great things. And actually the last two seasons, when we had the aliens from the other galaxy, the sea
Oh yeah.
uh
Yeah,
yeah,
yes. Yes,
those
yes.
that was fascinating. It was different. Like that expands our knowledge of Star Trek and the universe
And
around us. This just continues to expand with,
and Stacey Abrams showing up in the end.
yes, that was cool.
Which we love. That's great.
Yeah, overall, I highly recommend this episode. This builds lore very well. This gives character development. It's everything you want it to. Builds tension. You're
Yes, there's
nearing
a
the
lot of
finale.
tension.
This is so good. So,
There's a
so,
lot
so,
of
so good.
tension in this episode because I remember seeing it the first time, not knowing where it was going to go.
And the Breen feel threatening.
Hmm.
I like that. My villains don't feel faceless. Even though, again,
Well, even though
previously
they
we never
are
saw this.
faceless, but
But now with Locke, you have a face. In fact, they have two faces.
that's true. That's true.
Cool featured. Anyway, um, but yeah, overall, this is a great recommendation. Love this episode.
I would say
Uh,
this season is a great recommendation,
it
definitely.
really is. It really, yeah, I agree with you.
And I think it
Yeah,
I think it brings it all home very nicely.
absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Well, next week for us, we're going Strange New Worlds.
One of our favorites.
Strange New Worlds. All
One
right,
of our
let's
favorite shows, oh yes.
let's hit the randomizer.
Oh
Okay.
boy.
Okay, one second here. Sorry, my computer stopped clicking, so I'm waiting for it to reset. I need another computer, and I just got done paying this off. Aw. All
It's a
right,
computer virus uploaded by the brain.
I hope not. Season 2, episode 3. It's another time travel episode.
Mm.
Tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow.
Oh,
This
this
is the
one.
this one
Yes.
with La'an and her.
Oh my word. This one is great.
This is gonna be so
Yeah,
good.
I mean, Christina Chong can do no wrong, in my opinion.
Yeah, this is going to be great to see. Cannot wait to look at this episode. And of course, we got a lot coming up. End of the month, we have Cocoon. Good little family
Yes. Oh,
romance
that'd be
for
fun.
it'd be great. Did you
And
finally watch?
speaking of Jessica Tandy and Hume Cronin, that's 2 months in a row.
Oh, besides
Or,
Hunt for Red
well,
October.
yeah, that's true. But,
All right, but Brendan, where can the people find you?
well, you can still find me on X at Brennan Mystical, but primarily you can find me on Blue Sky, Brennan Mar. I don't know exactly how to say where to find me on Blue Sky because the names of the pages are so complicated. But you can find me there, and you can find me on YouTube at Page Turners They Were Not.
Of course, you can find me on Twitch and Twitter at cingle1984. But as always, we end every episode. Oh, and live long and prosper.
Peace and long life.